I posted here a few days ago about her stealing from me, prioritizing her family over me and our relationship, and was I wrong for throwing her out? To go over what happened on Christmas Eve, I discovered my clothes and trainers in the wardrobe had been moved around. Not something I'd have done. I knew she'd been wrapping gifts for her family in there. It's a walk-in wardrobe in the spare room. I know she can struggle for money sometimes, and my first instinct was she'd been going through it to find something to give to her brothers, as most of it still has tags on. The trainers are still boxed too. That night, I, wrongly, looked through her Facebook Messenger, and she's taking pictures of my trainers, asking her mom if her brothers will fit them. Because I don't like it. I do like them. I just haven't had a chance to wear them. Her reply was, "I'll wrap them up then." Also asking if the exact size I am in clothes will fit her brother was on the messages, making me think she's stolen other things. I don't even know half of the clothes I have, so it's pretty hard for me to look and know what's missing, and a lot are with tags on and brand new. I confronted her about it that night, told her exactly what I saw, that my clothes had been moved around and the messages of her taking photos of my trainers. She said her mom was asking what trainers I wore to buy me some. What she didn't expect was me to pull up the screenshots with her reply of saying she's going to start wrapping them and asking if they'll fit her brother. She then admitted she was going to, but realized it was wrong, and it wasn't because I confronted her about it. I looked at her phone yesterday while she's asleep to see if there's any mention of anything that's been taken, and she tells her mom he wants to keep the trainers now, with all previous messages deleted. She keeps denying it was because I confronted her that she didn't give them away, and she's denying she's stolen anything else, saying I'm blowing it up into something it isn't, and she'd never steal. She says the reason she asked was that she gave a gift intended for me to her brother, but she's refusing to show me the transaction or receipt for that. I told her, unless I see proof she's bought gifts for her brothers herself, I'm going to presume she's a thief and she's stolen from me. She's adamant she hasn't, and that I'm being pathetic, and she'll show me proof, but not when I ask for it, and in her own time. That was the last straw for me, so I asked her to pack up and leave. She had somewhere safe to go because she can stay with her family for now. I'm being called dramatic and basically the one who's in the wrong. She's pregnant, and for the sake of the child, I've been trying to work things out, but this is the last straw for me. Over the past week, I've given her numerous chances to own up. I've told her I know what she did, whether she admits it or not, but at least if she admits it, I can consider her a more honest person. It's been days, and she's still denying she took anything while refusing to show me proof. I wanted to see her face to face today to see how she responded when I told her whether she admits it or not. I know she stole from me, so she can either own up with a chance of saving the relationship or deny it, but I'll then know what she's really like. I asked her to see proof of what she actually bought if she really didn't steal anything, and she just keeps repeating, "I don't have to show you anything." That was the last straw for me. I've given her chance after chance to own up and confess, and she refuses, saying she isn't going to admit to something she hasn't done and won't be bullied into owning up to something she hasn't done. She keeps coming back night after night for clothes, so I've told her to take everything because that's it. I told her if she can't show me she's decent enough to own up to what she has done, then there's no chance for us. I later got a text telling me I was a piece of shit. She's considering aborting the baby, and she can't believe I care so little about her to be moving on. She said I've caused her stress when she's pregnant. The thing is, I'm not sure if it was right for me to give her the chance to own up, show me she can be a decent person, and wait for the past few days hoping she would. I'm not sure how to move on from her. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Breaking up seems like the best option, and honestly maybe baby on a living too. She seems immature, but I don't think you dodged a bullet like others are saying. You seem to be a bullet in your own right, snooping in her phone because you noticed stuff in your closet had been moved, then snooping again. Accusing her of stealing when you don't even know if anything is missing, and the one thing you have any proof she was going to give away is still there is ridiculous. Also, she struggles with money, but she has to ask you for things she needs. Then you kick her out over something so petty. You sound financially controlling and not like someone worth having a baby with. Comment 2. Sounds like you dodged a bullet here and you're still processing things. Your feelings for her aren't going to just magically disappear, and if she decides to keep the baby, she's going to unfortunately be in your life in some form, possibly forever. Try to recognize that if she's like this when presented with direct evidence, then she's going to be like this in many other areas for years to come if you take her back, and she'll rarely, if ever, take accountability for her actions. Edit. Spellings. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments on my last post. I really appreciated the advice and support. It's been a tense couple of weeks since I last updated, and boy do I have some news. So, after I threw her out, things got even more intense. She kept coming back for her stuff, and each time it was like she was trying to guilt me into taking her back. But I stood my ground. I needed proof that she hadn't stolen from me, and she just wouldn't give it. In the midst of all this, I started doing a deep dive into my finances and belongings. I realized that there were a few items I hadn't seen in a while. I remembered her once mentioning how her brother had admired my limited edition watch, the one my late grandfather had left me. It was more than just a timepiece. It was a family heirloom. I hadn't worn it in months, and now it was nowhere to be found. I confronted her about the watch when she came by again. She denied everything, of course, but this time I noticed something off about her reaction. She wasn't just defensive, she was scared. I could see it in her eyes. That's when I knew there was more to this story than she was letting on. I decided to reach out to her brother directly. We had always been on good terms, and I figured he might not know the whole truth. When I asked him about the watch, he went silent for a moment, and then he spilled everything. Turns out, she had given him the watch for his birthday, claiming she had bought it especially for him. He had no idea it was actually mine. Armed with this information, I confronted her once more. This time, she broke down and admitted to taking the watch and a few other items. She said she felt pressured to provide for her family and didn't know what else to do. I was furious, but a part of me also felt sorry for her. It was a mess of emotions. But here's where things take a turn. Remember how she's pregnant? Well, she finally showed me the ultrasound pictures. I was overwhelmed, seeing that little life growing inside her. It made me question everything. Could I really turn my back on my own child? We had a long emotional talk. She promised to make things right, to return what she had taken and to start fresh. I wanted to believe her, but trust is hard to rebuild. Then, 2 days ago, I got a call from her phone, but it wasn't her on the line. It was a nurse from the local hospital. My girlfriend had been in an accident. She was okay, but they needed me to come in. My heart stopped. All our problems seemed so small in that moment. I rushed to the hospital, and there she was, bruised but alive. She had been on her way to return the watch to me when she got hit by a car. The irony wasn't lost on me. She was trying to do the right thing, finally. We spent hours talking in that hospital room, and it felt like we were the only two people in the world. She apologized for everything, and I forgave her. We decided to try and work things out, for our sake and for the baby's. But just when I thought we were on the path to recovery, the nurse came in with some test results from after the accident. My girlfriend looked at me, her face pale as a ghost. She handed me the paper, and that's when I saw it. The test results showed that she wasn't pregnant. It was a false positive. All this time, the stress, the fights, the reconciliation, it was all based on a lie. She had lied about being pregnant to keep me from leaving her. Dad died and left me his house and dollars, but stepfam insult me in private group chat. Oh boy, I evict them and seek legal advice and find out I have legal right to inheritance. Hello everyone, I need advice, and since it's not something I can tell to people around me, I'm posting it here. Also, please excuse my English because it's not my first language. For a little bit of context, my father passed away at the beginning of the month. We weren't really close. I think he always despised me because my birth caused the death of his wife, my mother. He remarried after, but they quite never made me feel like I belonged with them. and he abandoned me shortly after. I now got into a really good college with a scholarship through hard work, but I'm still struggling to make relationships because of the abuse and all, and can't really afford therapy because of the amount of work I'm putting myself in. He wasn't really that hurtful, often beating me up, but I think he was more clumsy with people than anything. He didn't know how to handle me. I grew up in a lot of terrible places, and only a teacher helped me a lot, buying me food, school supplies, etc., and encouraged me to study. I gave my all in school and am actually working a lot for my degree on my own. I'm actually alone, and I only have a cat for a real friend and family. I recently learned of my father's death. I wasn't sad or relieved or anything, but long story short, he gave me all of his inheritance. We are talking about a lot of money, too much for me, my mom's ring, and the house. But there is a problem. His new family, my 2 stepbrothers and 2 stepsisters, with another woman, she is French, and they contacted me to discuss this as they are actually living in the house. I agreed to meet them, and everything was nice. I felt like I had a family for the first time in my life, and I always wanted to have a relationship with my siblings. The woman, let's call her Jane, was really nice with me, said things like I could come anytime I want, get dinner with them, be part of the family. I agreed to let them stay in the house for free and to give them all of the money my father gave me since I didn't want that dirty money, or anything from him really, in the first place. One day, my youngest half-sister, Claire, asked me if I wanted to be put in the WhatsApp family group. I almost cried at this proposition to Ba and said yes. The exact same day in the afternoon, I saw a message in French. I will put it on my profile, from Jane, calling me a dumb pigeon, naive, and easy to manipulate, and one of my half-brothers and sisters, the 2 older, agreed with her. They didn't know I was in the group, and I was just speechless. I just messaged that I wanted them gone in a month from the house, and that I will give them nothing, and left the group. I now have my mail and call box full of calls and messages on how I am horrible to put an entire family in the street by their family and them, on how they are sorry and everything to make me guilty. Jane even called me crying, telling me she didn't mean it and that it is because of her grief. She even threatened me with a lawsuit, and honestly, it scares me a lot and puts a lot of pressure on me. I have to admit that doing this makes me feel absolutely guilty, and I kind of feel like I'm in the wrong here, even more for the younger, but I'm starting to feel pretty devastated by all this. Maybe I should not be this harsh. P.S. I am a little afraid that if I do something, hatred will go on Claire, since she is the one adding me. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Find a lawyer. Keep screenshots of the group chat. Follow through with your plans. Keep all that stuff. Call it your father's penance for all the shoot he put you through. You deserved a good father. Use his money to make sure you have a good life. Get therapy, etc., etc. Once the estate is settled, you can help Claire if you want. You can keep in contact with her if you want. But whatever they may do to Claire is because they're awful people, not because of you. Comment 2. You need to lawyer up and evict them the heck out of your house. Your father left you everything, out of remorse for being a shitty father to you. They are a family of 5. They will be fine. Don't feel guilty. Thank God you found out before actually giving them the house and the money. I advise, as soon as you have the house in your name, rent it and take a loan on it. Be responsible, but take advantage of the opportunity life has given you. Good luck. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments on my last post. I really appreciated the support and advice. It's been a week since I found out about my family's betrayal, and let me tell you, things have escalated quickly. After I told them they had a month to leave the house, my step-siblings and Jane started bombarding me with messages and calls. They were begging for forgiveness, saying they didn't mean what they said. But I couldn't shake off the feeling of being used, especially after everything I've been through. Growing up, I always felt like an outsider in my own home. My father's indifference was like a constant shadow over my childhood. I remember one time I had won a school award, and all I wanted was for him to be proud of me. But he just shrugged it off, saying it wasn't a big deal. That hurt more than any of the beatings. It's funny how the emotional scars are sometimes the ones that hurt the most. Jane's threat of a lawsuit had me worried. I won't lie. I didn't know much about the law, but I knew enough to understand that they could make things difficult for me. So I decided to seek legal advice. Turns out, since everything was legally left to me, they didn't have a leg to stand on. That was a relief, but it didn't make the situation any less stressful. The guilt was eating at me, especially about Claire. She was the youngest and had been nothing but kind to me. She didn't deserve to be caught up in all of this. I remember how she looked up to me when we first met, her eyes filled with hope that maybe, just maybe, we could be a real family. It broke my heart to think I was the cause of her pain now. Then came the confrontation. I agreed to meet with them one last time to discuss everything. When I arrived, Jane was there with my 2 older step-siblings, but Claire was nowhere to be seen. They tried to play nice at first, saying they were sorry and that they wanted to make things right. But I could see the insincerity in their eyes. It was the same look my father used to give me when he promised things would get better. As we talked, or rather, as they tried to convince me to change my mind, the truth came out. My older stepsister, let's call her Emily, admitted that it was all Jane's idea to manipulate me into giving up the inheritance. She said Jane had convinced them that I was just a temporary obstacle, and that once I signed everything over, they could get rid of me and live comfortably without ever having to work again. I was stunned, not just by the betrayal, but by the fact that Emily was the one to spill the beans. She had always been the closest to Jane, almost like a daughter to her. To hear her admit that Jane had orchestrated the whole thing was a shock. It was clear that there were cracks in their perfect family facade. The real jaw-dropper came when Claire suddenly burst into the room. She had been listening the whole time and couldn't take it anymore. She yelled at Jane and the others, calling them out for their greed and cruelty. She said she didn't want to be part of a family that could treat someone like me, her own brother, with such contempt. The room went silent. You could cut the tension with a knife. Claire walked over to me, tears in her eyes, and apologized. She said she understood if I wanted nothing to do with them, but she hoped that maybe, in time, we could have some sort of relationship. It was a moment I'll never forget. After that, things moved quickly. Jane and the others realized they had no choice but to leave. They started packing up their things, and the house suddenly felt very empty. But it was a necessary emptiness, one that would allow me to start fresh and build a life that wasn't overshadowed by my father's legacy. As for Claire, we've kept in touch. She's the only one I feel any connection to, and I think we're both curious to see if we can be there for each other, despite everything that's happened. Mom lives in my house and renovates it, but when my girlfriend moves in and starts asking for changes, oh boy, she regrets it. Context of the last 2 years. My father passed away and left me his inheritance, which includes a house that is now in my name. When I moved back into that house, I allowed my mother to live with me as she was looking for a place to stay after she left her apartment. The house needed serious renovations from the garage all the way to the yard, and being a young single man, I didn't really care about any of that. So I gave my mother creative freedom over everything, and the money would be from my inheritance. She has been a great help while I finish up my master's, but now I'm about to be home for good. Last year, I met my now girlfriend while the renovations are pretty much done, barring a few things here and there. My girlfriend and I hit it off immediately, and within a few months, I asked her to move in with me. She moved in under the assumption that the house was my mother's, but she was okay with it. Not too long after moving in, I tell her that it is actually my house that I inherited, which she doesn't seem to have much reaction to. Luckily, my father left me a good amount of inheritance, so while I am intelligent with where I put my money, I fortunately have the luxury of buying some nicer things. Her past birthday, I bought her a used BMW for around $10,000 and was willing to put $5,000 more for customizations that my girlfriend is interested in, as she is a car girl, whereas I drive a nicer Civic, but I don't really care about all that stuff. My girlfriend moved in, and as a normal couple would do, she started pointing out things about the renovations that she would like changed sometime in the future. Since it was my mother's creative decisions, I didn't mind changing it in the future to be what my eventual wife would like best. My mother found it disrespectful because she had not even been living with us for a year and came to start pointing things out that she wanted changed, which I can see where the timing is unfortunate. Had I met her previously, the house would have been to her liking from the start, and these issues would have never existed. I do tend to buy things for my girlfriend, but she is a very cheap person that shops at thrift stores and only likes the best deal, while also not wanting too much or too many things to save for bigger things like vacations or properties that she wants to invest in. My girlfriend has immense dreams and is very knowledgeable about flipping houses, as that is what her uncle does for a living, so I trust her to be able to make smart financial decisions. This past week was the straw that broke the camel's back. I surprised my girlfriend with a necklace of about $1,000 that she had said months ago was like the perfect necklace. And since then, she hasn't taken it off. My mother believes that she is only with me for my money, but what she doesn't see is all the love and support my girlfriend provides, as well as being able to cook and take care of a house and our cat we adopted. My girlfriend has always been a beaming ray of sunlight, yet my mother believes she has other motives when my girlfriend has always been the one texting her and calling her and thinking about her much more than I have. Keep in mind, my girlfriend's favorite gifts have been those made by myself with love, rather than the car and the necklace. My mother began being extremely disrespectful to my girlfriend, and that is not something I will ever allow in my house. So I told her that if she cannot respect my girlfriend and my boundaries, then she needs to find somewhere else to live. I gave her until May, but she should be gone before then. Is my mother being overprotective and overstepping her boundaries? Or is my girlfriend truly only with me for my inheritance? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. It sounds more like you are terrible with money. Stop spending so much on your girlfriend. She is not looking for a sugar daddy. You do not need to buy her affection. You barely know this person. Slow down with the investment advice. Your mom is probably trying to stop you from being conned out of a whole bunch of money. Comment 2. I do not think your girlfriend is a gold digger. I do think you are 23 years old and making poor financial and relationship choices, as 23-year-olds are known to do. You are moving way too fast and you are going overboard on spending for such a new relationship. You need to rein it in. Now, for the update. Hey Reddit, it's been a month since I last posted about the drama with my mom and my girlfriend, and boy, do I have an update for you all. Buckle up, because things have taken a turn I never saw coming. So, after I told my mom she needed to find a new place by May, she started acting even colder towards my girlfriend. I thought it couldn't get worse, but I was wrong. My girlfriend, being the sweetheart she is, tried to smooth things over by inviting my mom to join us for dinner, hoping to clear the air. But during dinner, my mom dropped a bombshell. She claimed she had proof that my girlfriend was only with me for my money. I was floored. My girlfriend was shocked and hurt, and I didn't know what to believe. The proof was a series of texts between my girlfriend and her uncle, the house-flipping guru. My mom had snooped through my girlfriend's phone while she was in the shower and took pictures of the texts. They were discussing properties and investments, and my mom twisted it to look like my girlfriend was planning to use my inheritance for her own gain. I was torn. On one hand, I trusted my girlfriend, but on the other, my mom seemed so convinced. I confronted my girlfriend about the texts, and she was devastated that I would even think she was using me. She explained that she was just seeking advice from her uncle about our future together, wanting to make smart financial decisions for both of us. She showed me the full conversation, and it was clear that my mom had taken things out of context. My girlfriend had even mentioned in the texts how much she loved me and how she wanted to build a future with me, not just with my money. Feeling like a complete jerk for doubting her, I apologized to my girlfriend. She forgave me, but things were still tense in the house. My mom refused to apologize, insisting she was just looking out for me. It was a mess. Then, just when I thought things couldn't get any more complicated, my girlfriend's car, the BMW I bought her, was vandalized. Someone had keyed the entire side and slashed the tires. We were both heartbroken and filed a police report, but we had no idea who would do such a thing. A few days later, we got a call from the police. They had checked the neighborhood security cameras and found footage of the vandal. It was my mom. I couldn't believe it. My own mother had damaged the car out of spite. When confronted, she broke down and admitted it, saying she was trying to save me from what she thought was a bad relationship. I was beyond angry. I had trusted her, given her a home, and this was how she repaid me. I told my mom she had to leave immediately. No more waiting until May. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, but I couldn't let her actions slide. She packed her things and left, staying with a friend. It was a quiet and sad departure, with so much left unsaid. My girlfriend and I are trying to move past this. We've been focusing on each other, repairing the damage to the car, and planning for the future. It's not easy, but we're getting there. But we've also decided to use some of the inheritance to start a small side business, flipping houses, something we're both excited about. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.